Well, all right, you guys. I have to run errands again today. Driving out to Virginia. I know I look like heck, but last night I don't know if this jury-rigged thing here is going to hold, but we'll see. Last night I had dinner with a flying bus driver, and he said that the dinner, the community was buying the dinner, which of course he bought. Thank you, Marylander. People from Maryland don't know how to drive. And I'll make a prediction, which is going to annoy my sister. And I was wrong. I figured that was the driver was female, but it wasn't the case. And she would get, my sister would get mad at me for saying that, as she should. Anyway, so he said the community bought dinner, which was fantastic. He's a great guy. I enjoyed meeting him very much, and you know, he's in the same situ as all of us, and he flies, you know, commercial aircraft, passenger aircraft. Anyway, I just wanted to come on while I'm driving because I'm not going to be able to. Maybe I brought something. Maybe I can do a live when Ham wants to, but I'm worried that this is going to take forever. I don't know how you guys do it. I really don't know how you guys do it. The idea of driving and relying on the decision making of other people. Whew, I couldn't live in the suburbs. So I don't know what I want to talk about. GME, we talked about that a little bit last night. And, you know, I don't know, a couple of years ago or in December even, I was suggesting that people establish tax losses with GME. And with the, you know, you sell it, you lock in your loss, and you buy it back in 31 days. Maybe you do a trade in the meantime. And I was just feeling badly for people who may not have bought back in, because the stock certainly has performed well in the last 2 days. Secondly, on GME, my opinion is that the Roaring Kitty guy, I think Roaring Kitty was like a signal to all the long hedge funds to start trading it to the upside. And as you know, they did a financing for $250,000 at no, that was AMC. Sorry, that was AMC. Well, that's the same deal there. AMC, some hedge fund did a deal at $3.50, and then they run that stock up, and so that guy makes $250,000 because everyone buys in. It's all rigged, and it's really, I don't know how Gary Gensler sleeps, but I guess he sleeps just well on his 1,000-point cotton sheets from Egypt. What else? Okay, so AMC did a financing. I bet GME does one too. So I wouldn't stay long at the party, but as I've always given the caveat, the guy to follow is George Donahue. He follows it very closely. He works extremely hard, and his ideas on it are going to be a lot better than mine. Fngr, as you know, the hamster, bought 500 calls for this Friday of the 4s, and his premise for that was that there's going to be a hearing announced this week for DJT, and Fngr will be included in that. That's what he's saying. Maybe there's more to it. I don't know, but there could be more to it. So the idea would be that the stock's going above $4 before 4 p.m. or 4:10, I guess, 4:15, whenever the option trades stop. But going above $4 before close of trading on Friday. Now you could go out to June based on the prices yesterday. I didn't look this morning, but on the prices yesterday, this Friday's calls, the $4. Why not? It's a green light. Why not? People just walk without looking, and it's kind of dangerous. On the other hand, it's raining. I feel badly for him. So, this is my old neighborhood. Very nice. And there's police here for some reason, which is not a great thing for speed. And there's yellow lights. When I moved to London, I used to live up in, where was I? I think I was in Mount Pleasant. But I rented a big U-Haul. I basically gave away all my furniture, everything, But I remember coming here, I had this huge truck, and I was turning, and I was looking both ways, and it probably wasn't huge to most of you guys. But I clipped this lovely young woman's car. She had it wasn't a brand new car, it was like a Honda or something. And I felt so badly. I gave her my phone number, my address, my insurance, and she was so sweet, but she never followed up. And I neglected to get her number. And even now, like 30 years later, I think about it, because she never got her car fixed, and I should have fixed that. But anyway. All right, so GME, we talked about. I would, as I've said on the calls and continue to say, you don't have to sell the stock. What you can do is sell calls against your stock if you want to hang on, but at least you take the premiums. 90% of call options. What is this truck? Hey, go back to Italy. I don't know, it's a pretty scary looking, I don't know if it's Italian, it might be German truck. He just cut across all the lanes. Probably just like I did to that woman. A young woman. I was young too. Or younger anyway. I forgot what I was saying. 95% of all call options expire worthless. So the way to really make money in call options is to sell them. Take the premium, collect the premium. Don't pay the premium, collect the premium. And when you have a stock that has this excessive premium, both stocks, AMC and GME, that people think it's going to go to the moon, if you can fight your own, excitement that it's going to go up, you can sell the Friday calls and bring in a premium, and that time premium, the gambling premium, will disappear by 4 o'clock, unless the stock goes up and squeezes to 100 by then, and nobody knows. But that's one way you can bring in some money. fngr doesn't have any premium in their calls. Serenity now. Serenity now. Serenity now. It's a great city. It's raining, and so the traffic, people, it's a little more difficult. But I tell you, I know David, the truck driver, says that, should I hit her? Oh. I didn't. She's on a bicycle. She's not wearing a helmet. This guy just went by with a helmet. So anyway, that's one thing you could do is sell calls, and Friday the premium disappears. You got a profit, and then you can do it next week. Or I don't know how you guys do this every day. I used to do it. I have no interest in doing it anymore. This is a nice car I rented, though. It's a van. I didn't want a van. That's all they had. I had to wait 5 hours yesterday. 4.5. I exaggerated. To get my car. Going down to Rock Creek Parkway. You just gotta jump on the parkway when there's a little room, speed up, and you're in like Flint. What does that mean, in like Flint? There's another one we always say, you know what, under the weather, you know where that comes from, under the weather? When on British warships, the seamen would get sick. They didn't have, oh God, they died. Half of them died, more than half. But when they weren't feeling well, and there's a storm or there's sun, they were sent below to their hammock, and they'd be under the weather. So if they were feeling poorly, they were under the weather, mate. Okay, so I talked about AMC, GME, and then fngr. Keep your eye out for it. I still feel like there's going to be a lot of good news. We've got the 16th tomorrow. Today is the 15th. These are good times for earnings, for 10Qs, for anything, for annual reports, all of that. So that, keep your eye out on that. And then this traffic. Thank you for riding with me. It's keeping me calm. Who came up with this idea? It would be so much more efficient if we just walked to work. There's Mr. Policeman. My dad used to call him Johnny Law. He's on a motorcycle. Johnny Law. But they're here to get people like me that are impatient and go too fast, cut in line, do stupid things to save 10 seconds. Uh, okay. The other one I want to put in your head again and again is logic. It's a boring trade, I know. 3 cents, 3.5 cents. But the same story. They're going to file. You know, all of these companies have to do. They have to file their annual reports, their quarterly reports. In the case of Logic, it's a shell, and long announced, long discussed, long disclosed. They have the intention of doing a reverse merger, and then we as shareholders will own, I don't know, 10 to 15% of that. Call it 10%. And the numbers were 500, 600, 800 million dollar companies. I don't know. Could be smaller, could be done in stages. But there'll be value. So anybody short that stock, I think will stop shorting it and probably cover. So the question is, does it go to 5 cents, 15 cents, 30 cents? Who knows? But up, I think. And it's a trade. I'm not, unless the news is so compelling, it's just a trade. And you can double your money, triple your money, and put it back in another stock. That's the one thing over the last, I don't know, 2 years that's clear to me. And a lot of Ham's people that listen to him have done it, I think, is when these stocks go up, you got to take some money off the table. And but it's not easy. Selling is not easy, because the reason you bought it, the reason you've hung in through thick and thin, the reason you take the stares from your wife or the cold shoulder from your husband and stay in the trade is because you believe it's going to squeeze and it's going to go to these high numbers. So it's hard to sell once it starts moving. What if this is the time it goes? And sometimes it does. Look at GME. Finally, after a couple of years, it's run. But I bet there's a lot of people there. That's a lot of vehicular traffic coming at me. All right, so we're turning at the Watergate, which is now George Washington Housing, the hotel where Gordon Liddy and the plumbers spied on the Democratic National Committee, or whatever it was called. Right here. It's living history. But now it's a dorm. All right, we're now moving. Route 66. I don't want 66 because I am a lone driver, although I'm going the other direction. I'll go out 50. I'll go out 50 just to be safe. There's the Kennedy Center. It's a great place to catch an opera or some other concert. It's very nice. There's a quote by Kennedy there that says something along the line. Well, there's several quotes. Churchill, I think, too. But the point is, why are we spending all this money on art? We need it for our national defense. And one of the responses, I think it's Kennedy, but it might be Churchill, it might be somebody else, said, that's why we fight, is for our art, so that we can have art. Sorry, this is tipping. And I don't want to have an accident, but I might, just to get this to you. All right, Route 50. Oh my gosh, these signs look totally battered. We spend so much money overseas. Why don't we just make the same guys rich, and they can rebuild our infrastructure here. Rust never sleeps. Do you know that? Rust never sleeps. All right, so that, anyway, that's that one. What else do I want to talk about? I was on a space call the other night, and this guy 100 is really smart, and so are a bunch of people on there. Angler, a couple of others, really smart. I'm a little concerned that there's all these avenues to trading NextBridge, even blockchain, and what concerns me is the derivatives market, the credit swaps, the default swaps, the contracts that these guys can create to suppress that big blob of counterfeit shares, probably 1 billion shares. And that just worries me. I don't know how they do it, but clever lawyers can do clever things, particularly if they're dishonest. Sorry. Just hold it like this. Hold it like this. Driving. This whole area, when I first moved here, there was nothing, but it's all built up. So much wealth created by this real estate. So anyway, I guess I would just continue to recommend to each of you to move your shares of mmtlp into NextBridge, and I'm sure at the hearing, if the JT has it, it'll be good for us. And I also, please don't trade NextBridge. Do not trade NextBridge. Do not trade NextBridge. Just stay private. Just stay private. And finally, I guess none of us are talking to the SEC, but I think we need to emphasize to Stephanie Ramojas, I'm sorry, Stephanie, and Daniel Lloyd, or David Lloyd, the attorneys that are going after Kurt Kramer as a 2-time recidivist, that they do not settle. Kurt Kramer has one of the top attorneys of Gibson Dunn, who I think Gibson Dunn is conflicted. They represent the SEC. They hire people from the SEC. They make their money by representing the scumbags that destroy our markets, but then they put out little educational pieces on how CEOs should be careful to do this and that. I have such a low opinion of Gibson Dunn, and I don't think the SEC should allow any of their employees to go work for them. It's a conflict of interest. So anyway, I really would hope that we let the SEC know that we're not interested in settling with Kurt Kramer. They've done it before. I think it was 2011 and 2016. I did videos on it. Of course, my videos are so amateur compared to Avid did some videos on it too later. But the thing that stood out to me is Kurt Kramer signed a cease and desist, but he did neither. He didn't cease. He neither ceased nor desisted. And in this filing from Stephanie and David, attorneys, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, they state that he funded, by the way, it's not funding. They just sell stock that doesn't exist. They make up cash out of the market. They take it from you by selling stock shares into existence. and Gary Gensler lets it happen. A mouse, not a man. Anyway, these two attorneys point out that Kurt Kramer, in a span of about 4 years, did this destruction to 325 companies. 325 companies. Can every CEO in that subset of America have a bad idea? Can every CEO's stock have to go straight down? And then the arrogance of Kurt Kramer. Absolute sheer arrogance. I think I don't know what's the difference between sociopath and psychopath, but maybe you don't need to know the difference. He's just both of those. And by the way, the video is all in my judgment, all in my opinion. But let's just keep the pressure on the SEC not to settle with Kurt Kramer, and let's find out where the trades are. And I hope the SEC picks up on the fact that the warrants and the toxic note is just a tiny bit of the shares that are sold counterfeit. It's just tiny. It's just a release valve so that if there's ever the stock gets out of control, they can release it. It's also the reward which Kurt Kramer can make some money on, but he also gets a kickback, I'm sure. Everything, as I've said, is my opinion. But the big boys that sponsor him, because he didn't come up with this on his own. He worked at something like 8 firms in 3 years on Wall Street. He's no genius. He's just an arrogant, well-dressed thief. So anyway, it's by having these toxic convertible notes, or they call them other things now, you get an attorney like Richard Nadich, the in-house attorney or next door to the Kramers, sign all these letters, send a letter to the prime broker, and so the boxes get checked, and then the computers do the work, and no one looks at it again. And they all, Ham's right, they stay in their own sandbox, but savvy management, I bet, is sold every single one of these. But then there's the hedge funds behind them. It's our own big pools of money. I had a girlfriend, really I did. She lived there. Wow, my memories. I can't believe that apartment building is still exists. That a dentist owned her apartment. There were 2 roommates. Must have made a lot of money over time. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I got to focus on driving. I'll come live later. Let me see if there's anything I can say that's positive. It was a really nice dinner last night. I think we're starting to turn the corner on the pressure. Just seeing some of these shares like AMC, GME go up, I think it's going to come around to our turn afterwards. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So peace to everybody. I saw a sign at Union Station that said, when I was getting this car, it said something like love, happiness, and puppies. Might have said peace, love, and puppies. It might have said happiness, peace, and puppies. I don't know, but puppies was the thing. So I wish everyone today puppies. Thanks for listening.